for some time right now with new details this morning as Fox 5 continues to stay on top of the controversies plaguing Prince George's County Public Schools. This morning, its chief of staff is out of a job just days after an email that he wrote regarding the county's Head Start program was leaked.
He's not shown there, but school CEO Dr. Kevin Maxwell says that he asked George Margulies to step down as chief of staff. This, as some are suggesting that the email that Margulies sent back in April indicates the beginning of a cover-up and problems concerning Head Start.
School CEO Maxwell insists that he learned of the allegations at the beginning of the school year. Many parents and board members are doubtful of that.
One of those board members is here with us, Edward Burrows III. He joins us now live. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning.
Was there a cover-up at the highest level regarding Head Start in Prince George's County?
It's very clear to me, based on that email that came to light 2 days ago, that there absolutely was. In the email, the superintendent's chief of staff details this agreement that was made between the board chair and vice chair to bury this information from the public and the board.
You have the email with you.
Oh, yeah, I have the email right here. And on that email, you have a deputy superintendent, you have the chief of staff, you have a chief to the superintendent. So every single person that reports to him is on this email. And
the date on that is?
The date on this is April. So I find it very hard to believe that the superintendent did not know anything about this until the first of the school year. Also, I have a letter from the federal government dated in February. And in this letter, it's addressed to the board chair, CC to Dr. Maxwell, the superintendent. It says, you have multiple employees not complying with our federal investigation. There are several cases of abuse that have not been reported. The federal government tried to get us to intervene. Maxwell did absolutely nothing in February, and that's why we're here today.
That's dated in February. Now we fast forward to September. We saw the chief of staff put in his resignation. Does that go far enough for you as a member of the school board? And if not, what action would you want to see taken?
Oh, it absolutely does not go far enough. It's a step in the right direction. But the chief of staff could not make this deal to conceal this information by himself. In this email, it says, I have reached a compromise with the board chair and vice chair to hide this information. That makes them complicit in the cover-up, and that's not okay. There are other executives that were on this email that should also be held accountable. And so his resignation alone does not go far enough. This letter from February from the federal government went to the superintendent. He failed to act then to protect our students, and so he should be held accountable directly.
Should Dr. Maxwell step down?
I can tell you that it is impossible to govern a system when no one trusts you. And I'm in community meetings after community meetings, and no one trusts this superintendent. No one trusts this his executive team as well, unfortunately. And so we need the external investigation, and we need to hold Dr. Maxwell accountable, no doubt about it.
There is a meeting today, later this afternoon. You will be there. Will you call for the school CEO resignation?
I will. I'm a graduate of the school system. After November, I'll be the longest serving member on the Board of Education. I've worked with 3 past superintendents. And this is the most, sadly to say, it hurts me to say, the most unethical leadership that I've seen. I mean, it's very clear to me that this was covered up and not addressed. And it seems like they're more concerned about ending the scandal than addressing the needs of these students. If you notice, the majority of these students are special needs. They're inaudible. They cannot speak for themselves. And so it's important that we work together publicly to get them justice. And it's really inexcusable, in my view.
Let's talk about the fact that Margulies says that he's a scapegoat, but he's a scapegoat because the board asked him to step down. He did not say that Maxwell or Rashern Baker, for that matter, had anything to do with his decision to step down. He put that on the board. And what do you say about that in board leadership? Do you accept that the board said you must go, Margulies, but not you, Dr. Maxwell?
I can tell you that the board has absolutely no power over the superintendent of schools. And I agree with Dr. Margulies. He was a scapegoat, but it's to protect the superintendent who absolutely knew about these allegations. The fact is, the superintendent was made aware, meeting after meeting, and we have all the documents to prove it, and more documents will come to light as time goes on, that the superintendent knew about it, and he was complicit as well in this cover-up. I mean, it's sad to say, but every piece of information that we have is very clear about it.
The leadership of the board, talk to me about where that falls into this, because is the leadership of the board too close to the leadership in the county? You know, I'm not going to say the cover-up is here, but what I am going to say is talk to me about that relationship.
There is a significant case of groupthink and self-preservation among this group, in my view. As you know, the board chair is the former brother-in-law of the county executive. The board chair, the board vice chair, and the superintendent all report to the county executive. And so instead of the board holding Dr. Maxwell accountable, it is we're all in this together. So let's not tell the board certain things. It's spelled out in George's email. I mean, a member of the board wanted to have this discussion. She fought to have this discussion, but they made a compromise to bury the information. And at the moment they made the compromise to bury the information, they became complicit.
So what's the fix here? Because you mentioned you're a product of the county school system. You're born and raised in Prince George's County. You're a few months out from being the longest serving school board member. What's the fix here? Is it more separation from the county officials and the school board itself? Is it just another change in superintendent, which you say you've already been through 3 so far just since you've been on the board?
Yeah. So there are a couple of things. In 2013, the county executive passed a bill, HB 1107, that granted him unprecedented levels of power over the school system. That bill needs to be completely...
it was controversial when it passed.
Oh, it was. It was
Right.
very controversial because you destroyed all checks and balances. Before, there was a separation between the school board and the superintendent. Now, they're all one team. And whenever you destroy checks and balances, that never, ever helps kids succeed. It never works. And also, I do want to mention this. This is really an integrity issue. If you look at every major change that's been made, the email from the chief of staff, the teacher being removed and then placed in another school to fill the whole year, no one is ever held accountable until it's exposed publicly through the media. And that's a huge integrity issue. We tell our students every single day, do what is right no matter who's watching. That's integrity. And if you do not possess the integrity to lead the district, I don't want to keep having Prince George's be this revolving door superintendents, but if you're going to fail to act to protect kids, and when you do, you cover it up, you don't have the integrity necessary to continue to be superintendent, in my view. You don't have the trust among the employees or parents.
Are you afraid of any backlash here? The statements that you're making are very strong. We appreciate you coming on and talking about the issue. What about you?
Well, I think my mother and father, they're more afraid than I am, to be quite honest. And I recognize that it is a risk being so vocal about these issues, but like I said, a lot of these students are special needs. They're inaudible. They cannot fight for themselves, and it is my job to ensure they get their justice.
There is a meeting coming up, as we mentioned earlier, just a few hours from now. Fox 5, of course, will be there. We'll let you know what happens. Mr. Burrows, appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you.
It's 8:10 right now. We'll get your weather and traffic coming up in just a couple of minutes.